Hi all, today we will learn about the energy and ecosystems. I believe that every one of you is familiar with the ecosystems. Okay, let's start. The organisms found in any ecosystem rely on a source of energy to carry out all their activities. The ultimate source of this energy is sunlight, which is converted to chemical energy by photosynthesizing organisms and is then passed as food between other organisms. In this chapter, we shall look at how this energy transfer takes place. Organisms can be divided into three groups according to
Producers
how
are
they obtain their
photosynthetic
energy and
organisms
nutrients.
that manufacture organic
These three
substances
groups are
using light
producers,
energy, water,
consumers,
and carbon
and
dioxide.
decomposers.
In the other words, they make their own food for themselves. Green plants are producers. Consumers are organisms that obtain their energy by consuming other organisms rather than by using the energy of sunlight directly. Animals are consumers. Those that directly eat producers, aka green plants, called primary consumers, because they are the first in the chain of consumers. And then those animals eating primary consumers are called secondary consumers. And those animals eating secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers. Secondary and tertiary consumers are usually predators, but they may also be scavengers or parasites. When producers and consumers die, the energy they contain can be used by a group of organisms that break down these complex materials into simple components again. In doing so, they release valuable minerals and elements in a form that can be absorbed by plants and so contribute to recycling. Organisms which feed on that organic material in this way are referred to as saprophytes. The majority of this work is carried out by fungi and bacteria, called decomposers, and to a lesser extent by certain animals such as earthworms, called detritivores. The way in which energy flows from producers to consumers can be shown by drawing a food chain. Arrows in the food chain indicate the direction in which the energy flows. We can see the food chains of an owl as an example. In this food chain, the plant is the producer and the three animals are consumers. The insect is the primary consumer, the mouse a secondary consumer, and the owl a tertiary consumer. These different positions in a food chain are called trophic levels. Trophic means feeding. In reality, most animals do not rely upon a single food source, and within a single habitat, many food chains will be linked together to form a food web. The problem with food webs is their complexity. In the example shown in the picture, the plant is shown as being eaten by insect only. In reality, it may be eaten by at least 12 different organisms. We can see from the food webs given that the grains as a producers are eaten by the grasshoppers, birds, and the mice as the primary consumers. And the grasshoppers are eaten by the birds and the owl as the secondary consumers. It is likely that all organisms within a habitat, even within an ecosystem, will be linked to others in the food web. While in the food chains, there's just one path of energy, in the food webs, everything is connected. In any case, the relationships in the food webs are not fixed, but change depending on the time of year, age, and population size of the organisms. Although not an exact science, describing food webs is valuable in helping us to understand populations. Whenever energy is transferred from one form
or from one system to another, some is always lost as heat. As energy passes along a food chain, large losses from the food chain occur at each transfer, both within and between the organisms. In most ecosystems, the plants convert less than 3% of the sunlight to chemical energy. However, plants use 20 to 50% of this energy in respiration, leaving little to be stored. And only about 10% of this food stored in plants is used by primary consumers for growth. Similar losses occur at each trophic level. So, as energy is passed along a food chain, less and less energy available at each successive trophic level. That's why most food chains have only 4 or 5 trophic levels, because there is insufficient energy available to support a large enough breeding population at trophic levels higher than this. For example, we can see only about 10% of the energy in the plant being eaten by the swallow-tailed butterfly larva will be used for its growth. And this is the formula to calculate the efficiency of the energy transfer between each trophic level of this food chain. Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you can enjoy the video and understand the material well. See you in the classroom, and God bless you all.